What an awesome episode, and the ending, boy, it was just so great to see the look on my wife and my son's face, and just, oh, that oh shit moment, right? I can hear his heartbeat. The struggle for trust, part 4. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters and Rogue Titans and Eren Yeager supporters and people that love the dub regardless of what other people say. Excuse me. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome, and now in English, awesome series, Attack on Titan. Now, our last episode, of course, saw us with really the end of it, or towards the end of it, I guess you would say, revealing this sort of rogue or aberrant Titan that was actually fighting and attacking other Titans. Mikasa was actually saved by one as she was about to throw in the towel. And the end of the episode I thought was very touching because it was really, it's everybody realizing that they have to go and try to formulate this plan to go and head towards HQ. They might be able to use that Rogue Titan to their advantage, everything else, but the bottom line was that Armin was about to give it in. You know, he was about to give up. He just gave Mikasa the rest of his gas because she had run out, and his swords and stuff like that, and he took the small blade that he had and said, I'll keep this just to basically slit my wrist or my throat in case the Titan gets too close so I don't get eaten, right? Or so I don't get eaten alive, anyway. And that's how the episode left off, right? So the episode goes and picks up right there, and for all those of you that have been following along with me and, of course, my reviews of it, I have been watching it with my wife and my 2 oldest kids. And the great part about this is my oldest son, after the episode, the 5th episode, where Eren actually was eaten by the Titan, he was so eager to go and see the next episodes, and I hadn't picked up the actual first half of the season on Blu-ray yet, so he went onto Netflix and started watching some of the, the Japanese, English subtitled ones, just to watch a few episodes, and then kind of had that sly, like, yeah, I know what's going on type of move. Now, the 7-year-old and my wife had no idea, right? They've actually been pretty salty the last couple of weeks because, of course, we had the flashback episode where we saw a younger version of Eren. But, other than that, the last episode was fairly, fairly straightforward and just kind of, hey, is Mikasa, how is she going to go on, or Mikasa, now that Eren is gone, right? So the main things that happen in here is, number one, like I said, leave no one behind. We find out that Mikasa, whether she's holding on to Armin because he's important for her memories or because she really does care for him and really thinks that he delivers value, you find out later on in the episode that Armin does deliver value. And that's one of the major points of this episode, which I thought was great. He seemed like a very weak character that really pretty much froze up and started getting upset and emotional in battle. And you have to, although you can look at that and say, well, he's a this, he's a that, you have to think about it in terms of, would you do any different? I don't know if, a 20, 30, 40-foot man-eating Titan that was just coming to try to eat me, I don't know if I would freeze up. I don't know how I would act if I saw my whole team get eaten and destroyed around me. I don't know. Anyway, everybody winds up getting together, and with what gas they do wind up having left, they go and they propel themselves and utilize pretty much this rogue Titan that they have. They wind up luring him over to HQ, so he can go and start distracting and taking out some of the Titans that are around HQ, right? A number of them wind up come flying. Of course, all the all the recruits and everything. They wind up, Jean and Annie and all those guys. They wind up coming flying in through all the windows. And I kind of thought after the first one went through the window towards the top of the building and everybody crashed through the other ones, I was thinking if you can propel yourself wherever you want to go, why would you want to fly through a window? Maybe for dramatic effect, but I wouldn't want no glass getting in my shit, you know what I mean? Because you might go through that window and wind up like, nicking an artery or something. But anyway, all kidding aside, they wind up going and landing in that room that we saw in the last episode where there was a few people holed up in seeing the Titans all around them, and the one guy turned the shotgun and put it in his mouth and blew his own brains out. Anyway, Jean starts beating the shit out of the other guys and like, why didn't you support us? We find out they didn't support him because there's like a ton of Titans, smaller ones, the 3 or 4 meter variety, which is basically like, 10, 12 feet, not human size, definitely 2 to 3 times the human size, but smaller for the Titans. And they're all down in the big supply depot room, right? They're all rooting around down there. And these people aren't equipped. They're supply chain guys. They're not equipped to go and take out 7 Titans, So this is where you wind up seeing some really cool stuff because Armin goes and puts together, and you find out that this guy is actually, what he lacks, he doesn't lack anything inherent as far as heart goes, as far as I'm concerned. He has trouble correlating his brain to make the actions that he wants to have happen when he gets afraid. He locks up in battle. However, given an opportunity to go and be a strategist, he comes up with really a good plan, and probably the only one that was feasible, and that's that everybody that is, for the most part, the bulk of them are going to lower down in this elevator and get all the Titans to the 7 Titans that are down there to go and circle around them, to get around them, right, to come at them, you know. And they're going to use these old muskets and guns that they found and whatnot with buckshot and everything else to basically shoot them, blind them, because it takes them a minute or two to regenerate. And while that's all going on, 7 of their best, you know, basically their best offensive capabilities, people like Annie, people like Sasha, people like John, they're going to wind up going and dropping down from the rafters and taking these things out in their weak spot, right? Now, when I looked at this again, I thought, well, there's like 20 or 30 of you guys. Why don't you just charge down there and just drop down from the rafters anyway? Now, that may have worked, but you're probably going to lose a couple of people, you know? This scenario, if everybody does their job, nobody dies, right? The whole time that this is going on, we see this rogue Titan outside just beating the shit out of and just destroying other Titans. And I gotta tell you, this is part of the animation that I love, because you just feel the impact as this thing hits, and just as it roars, it's just this sort of guttural, like, dinosaur, I don't even know, it's just very, very cool, you know, just sort of like a dinosaur and like a demon, you know, they went and had sex and then their baby grew up and roared, you know, it's very cool, I think. And that's some of the things that have been slightly modified or changed and whatnot. And I just love, in general, a lot of the, you know, the pretty heavy explanations that they wind up having. I wouldn't say heavy explanations, but the way that the dialogue is done and translated, obviously, you can't do as much with subtitles. And when they have to take more liberal use of things and actually use the different words and add some different things to them. So a lot of times what you saw in the Japanese version, you see in those subtitles, it's a whole different sentence or paragraph, or it just, you take it in a different context, you know? Because I think it's Reiner winds up making this ass joke about how the only other weak spot on them is shoving a sword right up their ass. And somebody's like, and I think Connie's like, really? If we die, do you want that to be your last joke? Your last words was an ass joke? I thought I was laughing, you know. I thought that was pretty funny. But anyway, so as they go to execute this plan, I'm shitting bricks, man. Everybody's sweating bullets. We're watching it. This thing is coming down ever so slowly. One of the Titans goes and looks at him. Starts coming towards them. They gotta wait. They gotta hold. They gotta wait until all 7 of these things crowd around them and are starting to clamor at them, obviously at their own risk, before they go and shoot them in the faces, right? And hopefully nobody gets nervous and misses or whatever. But anyways, they're coming around. We see everybody creeping in the rafters. I'm just like, oh man, you can just cut the tension with a knife. You know, it's that thick, you know. And I'm looking over and I'm watching my wife, and she's sitting on the edge of her seat. I'm watching my son, he's biting his nails, you know. It's great. And so anyway, so as they're going, boom, now, all these guns start firing off, and you just see this cool camera shot that spins around the actual, you know, like gondola or elevator that they're on, and it's showing all the muzzle flash and musket fire. And these things are getting hit in the face. And then now, everybody drops from the rafters and you know Mikasa goes, she took hers out, of course, right? Everybody wound up taking theirs out except for Sasha and Connie. And the thing about it is they missed the Titans completely, right? Or whatever, you know, they move, I get it, okay? But then the events that follow are about 30 seconds of them kind of just standing there like, oh shit. Sasha actually freaks out so bad she starts apologizing to the Titan, right? And which she later regrets, and she's like, oh my god, I gave in to the enemy and everything else. The point is, though, is that when you drop down, if you missed the first time, don't you want to go and try to jump your ass back up or try to get some position and finish off or call out for some help? Ain't nobody called out for no help. What wound up happening is one of the Titans actually, you know, came forward and tried to take him out, and Mikasa and Annie, Annie's a bad bitch too, we know, wind up taking out the last 2 and obviously picking up the slack. And hey, listen, I'm not holding it against anybody. Nobody's perfect. You missed it, so big deal. But, you know, try to fix your mistake. I don't get everybody else trampled and eaten in the process. The point is they're able to go and refuel, resupply, and get going, right? And that's the important thing. That's what they want to do. They got to get back over for the retreat, back against, you know, because this is Trost. This is that little culvert type city, and they got to get back to where everybody's been retreating through, and obviously get to those walls and regroup, you know, plan of action. What the fuck are we going to do now? You know, the Titans are taking over. So anyway, as this is all happening, they go and they finish everything up. We find out that, number one, Jean is actually a good leader, and he's talking to this other dude, and I think it's Marco or somebody, and he says, I think you're a good leader because you're flawed, because you're scared, okay, because you understand what it feels like to have this shit happen. So you're a great leader because of that, you know, just because you initially froze up, and this is all new to everybody, right, dude? So I thought that was kind of nice and kind of touching. Also, I thought the ass joke thing was pretty funny from earlier. So anyway, as they go and they all get out and they're going to, of course, regroup and get out of there and whatnot, we see this rogue Titan, and the rogue Titan is getting bit, and actually these other ones actually look like they're trying to eat on him now, right? And we know that Titans eat humans, so we're like, what the hell's the deal? Maybe they're just getting pissed off because he took like 5 or 6 of them out. So they decide that they need to help him because this rogue Titan so far has been able to be turned, against the other ones in our favor. We can use them, right? It's a weapon. We can use it, And of course, there's those that are cynical about we shouldn't do that, we shouldn't this, we shouldn't the negative Nancys. But for the most part, it seems like the tide is turning in public opinion as far as them saying, hey, listen, we need this guy. We need to at least study him, see what the deal is, see if we can figure out how to use this or replicate this to our advantage. While this is all happening and they're debating whether they're going to help the thing or not by pulling the other ones off, this other one just basically goes and is like, fuck it, and just starts taking out other ones. And something I didn't realize when I initially saw this in the Japanese, the English subtitled Japanese one, back last year, is that then the Titan that went and ate Tomas, and Tomas was part of Eren Yeager and Armin's group or whatever, group 34 I think it was. He winds up going, they say, because they say it now, obviously, and I didn't catch it in the other thing if they did or whatever. Armin goes and he's like, that's the one that ate Tomas, and this thing starts coming, he's running, he's running forward towards Eren. All of a sudden, Eren sees him and just goes and whips one of them off, goes and takes out another one. Then there's a smaller one, he just kicks that one, punts him like a football. I thought that was great, And he comes over and grabs this thing and just rips into it and just destroys it, I mean, it was just wonderful to go and see him just tear this thing apart, And he does. He winds up grabbing this thing and he winds up doing some kind of freaking crazy-ass wrestling move on it and destroying this thing. Afterwards, though, he basically just goes and burns out. He's, like, not regenerating anymore. And it's funny because my wife's sitting there thinking, well, what the hell's going on, And my son's asking, well, what's going on? I said, I don't know. Maybe he can't regenerate, And I'm trying to play dumb about the whole thing. So he goes and, as this thing goes and there's steam starts coming off him and everything and it's not regenerating, all of a sudden we see the thing kind of start melting down into nothing. And everybody's like, oh, geez, okay, well, that was short-lived. At least we had him for a while, As it kind of melts down into sort of nothing, as these things do when you take them out, and it just sort of starts evaporating into like this puddle of like mush and smoke and just shit, whatever it is, right? All of a sudden, who do we see go and just freaking emerge up out of the back of this thing or the back of the neck of this thing? But our boy Eren Yeager! And I'm thinking, right? And I'm looking over and I'm watching my wife and she's just like, and I'm looking at my son and he's just like, and I'm just like, oh. And it was so hard for me to go and to keep that a secret from them for 3 weeks, because we've been watching it every week. And they really had kind of lost faith in the show. Everybody had kind of felt like they could identify with Eren. He's still got to get vengeance and revenge on those Titans for his mom's death and everything else, right? And all of a sudden he comes out and he's got his arm back, he's got his leg back, he's looking good, right? Anyway, he winds up going and kind of just going and collapsing, and Mikasa goes over, Eren, And that's how the episode winds up ending off, with just, holy shit, Eren's alive! And I was thinking, oh man, this is so good. It's so neat to go and see these reactions too, though, and to go back through this and see these reactions through someone else's eyes. To be able to sit down with somebody of like mind that has similar interests, that's the reward for me. Obviously, being able to see it in English as well, there's many things that I didn't pick up on because I was too busy trying to read the subtitles. My eyes aren't so good, so obviously a lot of times I'll miss a couple words in a line or something, or the subtitles, if the words are like white and the background is lighter at that particular moment, I can't see them as good. So anyway, an awesome episode, though, and a great ending, period, man. Just really, really good stuff. So my episode question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is, did you see that coming? Now, I know a lot of people say, well, if you paid attention to the Titan and everything else, and about halfway through the episode, my wife went and said, she goes, that Titan looks kind of like Eren, doesn't it? And me and my oldest son, who knew, we kind of played it off, and I said, I don't know. I said, he kind of looks like a drugged out, like, rock star or something to me. He had the long hair and these dark circles around his eyes. But anyway, did you see it coming? Did you know that it was coming? And obviously, for those of you that have read the manga or you watched it last year and whatnot, of course you saw it coming. But for those of you that are new to this series, just answering the question down below, or in the comments down below, answer the question, did you see it coming? Did you see that Eren would actually be alive and come out of the back of the head of a Titan? Leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button, if you should think that I deserve it. And subscribe if you have not done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.
Remember to subscribe to my other channels and follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram too.